I really believe it's held together by God's Word. And I was just watching this thing on quantum physics and how the atoms and the nucleus, they're not really a matter, they're not a mass, they're a kinetic thing. And what every scientist described in this documentary I was watching is that they're really an idea, a thought. They're an incentive. They're like an imagination, like a thought process going on. And I'm like, wow, that sounds like the Word, like when God spoke the universe into being. And you know, God is always way ahead of the scientists, so you don't even have to like follow them. They're like little, scientists are like on this big star chart map, and they're like in the map trying to figure out, but we're like with the Creator, and He's like in charge of the map. And one day the whole map is going to scroll up, like it says in Isaiah and Revelation. It's going to scroll back like a scroll, and there won't be a heaven and earth anymore. And God reveals those things to His prophets so we can move in a really powerful, anointed way, and we don't have to like feel bad about around people in the world who are like using all this big terminology and stuff like that, because we're like really moving in the light. It's like totally light. And one day I'd like to do a little blurb on this, but I had a experience a few years ago where I saw the end of the universe, and it scrolled back, and it was a horrific experience. I mean, I couldn't eat or drink for days, and I was completely changed in that experience. But I saw all the souls that ever were before, now, and that will come. They were starting to divide light into light and dark into dark. And I was so hit with the revelation that life was about one choice. It was about choosing God. Choosing God. Because the ones who didn't went into the dark, and they went into the abyss, and they went there forever and ever, and the light went into the light, and they couldn't stay together anymore. And I'll explain more about it later, but that week, that very week in Time Magazine, this article came out, and you may or may not be able to see it, but it says how the universe will end. Scientists have discovered how the universe will end. And in the article, they point by point describe that eventually the light and the dark will begin to separate. And the dark will go into that black hole, and the light will go into the light, and there will be no way they can ever come together again. And it was like, it made me see that God is before all these things. He is infinite in His possibilities.